I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is inspiration. And before we get started, let's just take a minute or two to get settled in and present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it, and imagine clean, crisp oxygen just flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing your cells, nourishing your organs. And as you exhale any tension, any stress. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. And this time, imagine clean, crisp oxygen just lighting, actually clean, crisp, light, beautiful, sparkling white light, lighting you up from every molecule and every electron throughout your body, energizing, revitalizing, invigorating. And as you exhale any stress or tension. And now let's just gently bring ourselves present by softly rubbing your fingers against your palms and feeling the sensations and the tickling and the tingling and the softness and the gentleness, and bring yourselves present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today's topic is inspiration and how do we find it? And this is a topic that is coming from a conversation that I had in a mastermind group that I'm part of, and I've been thinking a lot about how to create a mastermind for the eco park that I have envisioned for several years now. And it's time to start moving in, to getting in action around it. And I have just sort of been whirling in my head about how to create this collection of people to generate ideas about how this could come into fruition and what it would look like. And um, so in this mastermind yesterday, I was talking about it, and as I was talking about it, I noticed how I was just kind of whirling around in my head with all these ideas, and not really being able to encapsulate it. And then thinking about that I wanted to be able to bring together these people who are all expert in certain areas of sustainability to be able to generate this phantasmagorical, marvelous, spectacular, inspirational, educational place where people can come and learn about ways that we can create a future that are in harmony with the planet and support life and really the future that we are dreaming of rather than the ones that we are having nightmares about. And what we came up with, it was really interesting. We were just sort of bantering back and forth, and one of the reference points that we have is this, or that two of us have in from that group, is this course that I've talked to you about a bunch called Leading from the Emerging Future. And one of the foundations of that course and the methodology is sensing into the field, so to speak. In other words, finding a place of quiet within and allowing for reflection on on input, etc. So one of the things that we had discussed was maybe using that kind of format. And I had some concerns about it because the folks that I'm looking to invite to this mastermind are not necessarily meditators, not necessarily visualization people. However, uh, as we clarified some of the objectives of this event, one of the objectives was to enable people to connect with one another, to know each other, in order to be able to network and develop broader connections and forward what they're all up to, because they're all up to amazing things in the world. So the other thing was, hi Dido, thank you for the course link. This is a really, really powerful course. It is a new paradigm of creating policy, or for creating policy, and for creating institutions, and for creating the future. You know, it's really a new paradigm in that it is honoring heart and head and will, and converting that synergy into action, and into embodiment in the world. Good morning, Tommy. Thank you so much for being here. Great to have you. We're talking about inspiration today and how we find it. And so in our conversation, we came up with the idea of having a visioning session, and leading everybody into sort of a guided meditation, without calling it a meditation per se, to be able to envision what this most magical place might be in their own minds, and then to develop some processes for how we can share that information with each other, and then have generative conversation based on that. And it was very inspiring. So it made me think, how do we generate inspiration? And one way that we can generate inspiration is through collaboration. You know, so inspiration, it doesn't, we when we create a space, and this is also something that's discussed in Leading from the Emerging Future, when we create a space of connection and interconnection, the potential for what we can generate is exponentially expanded. In other words, it's the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, because there's some kind of magic or synergy that occurs that not only taps into the energy of the group, but goes beyond to tap into broader energies, so that it enables this two-way communication with with the field. Let's call it the field. And that's where inspiration resides. So one way that we can find inspiration is by creating spaces with multiple people, where there's sort of this well, a connection, a weaving together, and that then expands us beyond that weaving, even, or that tapestry. And of course, there are a number of other ways to achieve inspiration, or to access, let's say, access inspiration. Of course, tapping into the heart. So when faced with a problem, a quote unquote problem, a challenge, something that we want to find a solution to, often what we do, and I've spoken about this week even, we talk about moving from head to heart. That's really what we're talking about now, because when we get caught in our minds, we have habitual thought patterns, so we can tend to go round and round and round. Now, we can also be we can use our mind in a creative way by choosing to look at things from different angles. So we've spoken about that this week as well, where we can generate new perspectives by, for instance, stepping into somebody else's shoes and trying to imagine the experience from their place, from their position. And in fact, in this course, Leading from the Emerging Future, one of the practices is to do something called an empathy walk, which is finding a person that has very different ideas and perspectives than you do, and moving into a place of non-judgment in engagement with them in a conversation, an exploratory conversation. And what's interesting about that, when you're able to step outside your judgment and move into a place of curiosity, then new possibilities, unanticipated possibilities emerge. So I had heard a story about someone who did an empathy walk with someone who she had considered to be very self-centered and self-interested and inconsiderate and all kinds of other things. And as a result of the walk, and it's really a talk, discovered that this person that they were interviewing was really experiencing a lot of challenges and insecurities. And what grew out of it was a deeper sense of compassion. So this is, by taking a different vantage point, we get to open our minds and our hearts to different possibilities. And that's really where inspiration is. Inspiration comes from kind of opening the doors of the box that we live in, or opening the lid of the box that we live in, even though we're not necessarily aware of the box. But to do exercises that expand our awareness. So another way that we can do that is by asking powerful questions. So questions that will generate new ideas. So for instance, a beginning question is, what's another way I could look at this? What's another perspective I could take on this? What if all my assumptions about this were totally wrong and there's something here I'm missing? What am I missing here? What am I pretending not to see? Or what am I not seeing here? And your mind wants to answer all those questions for you. So that becomes a new perspective. The other thing that is very interesting, and I wonder if you have had experiences with this as well, when there's a quote unquote problem that I've been grappling with and sweating around or considering and machinating about, sometimes I have all these ideas, and when I go to sleep, sometimes I have a dream. And this has happened a couple times in my life, actually. It wasn't programmed. A lot of people are able to program their dreams, and this is a really powerful tool too, to program your dreams to at night go to bed with the intention of coming up with new ideas, new solutions, new perspectives. And oftentimes that works for folks. But I was in school, I was in college, and I wanted to graduate. And I actually, even before wanting to graduate, I just was trying to find a way to hone in on my focus. I had an inspirational dream, and I was in art school at the time, and my inspirational dream had me doing work in bronze. Now, I think the beauty of this is that my other than conscious awareness knew how to put together all kinds of facets of my experience that I wasn't consciously connecting. So my other than conscious awareness that arose in this dream knew how to connect all the dots for me. So I had experience as a glass blower, so I had experience with creating things that were molten and polishing glass, and um, I I had also had experience working with wax, because I had been working for a company making these wonderful dragon and dwarf candles that we molded from wax sheets. So that was really, really cool. And I had also taken an industrial design class where I was learning how to make molds. And what was amazing is that my other than conscious awareness put all this stuff together to say, here you're doing work in bronze. And bronze casting incorporates heat and molten metal rather than molten glass, and mold making and polishing, and working with wax in the molds, because you often cast wax in the molds to burn it out to create bronze. I don't know that I even consciously knew all of those pieces were involved in doing bronze sculpture, but my other than conscious awareness did, and gave me this dream. And in the dream, I was doing work in bronze. And I do credit myself for listening to that inspired dream, because I went to the person who was running the courses in bronze sculpture at the schools that I was attending, and I said, I need to learn this. and and he accommodated me, and then I did bronze sculpture, and that's what I ended up graduating um, with a show in bronze sculpture. So it was something that gave me direction and clarity from a place of pure inspiration, where my other than conscious awareness was able to tap into the broader knowing that I had of myself, and of I guess a future potential. And I allowed myself to honor that and move into it. So hello, Isabel. Welcome. Great to have you here. We're talking about inspiration and how we can generate it, how we can tap into it, and really also the importance of honoring it when it presents itself. Because the more that you honor inspiration, the more that you honor that internal voice, that expansive wisdom that's available, the more it will make itself present, the more it will gift you with direction and guidance. So, in our conversation yesterday, we were talking about one way to generate inspiration uh, is to bring people together, create a space of creativity or openness where there's connection. Uh, Magic happens in the context of that connection, that then sort of creates this communication with the broader field, that then feeds in ideas that might not otherwise have been there. And so a solution arose for me around creating a visioning session of people that I'm wanting to create a bond with and start generating a seed group to ideate this vision of the eco park that I have. And and it's interesting because this has been something that I've been wrestling with for a while, and trying to create a formulation for it and structures for it. And what what I realized is that I was very much in my head. And when I was able to move down into what's the feeling I want to create, what's the connection that I need to that I desire to generate within these people, how do I bring these divergent people together into a focused group that will be able to generate something, and how do I generate um, engagement and a sense of stakeholderness. I know that's not a word, but a sense of ownership of this or connection to this project in people, how to do that, and to give something to them, to have them have a enriching experience. This visioning session seems like a really wonderful way to do it, rather than trying to jump into a structure and solving problems that they probably feel no relationship to. So it was an inspired solution. So other ways that we can create inspiration is creating creative space for ourselves. So what does that look like? It can look like internal meditation. That's one thing. And another way to create inspiration, and this is probably something that a number of you have done, and it's actually calling to me, and I've been thinking about it lately, creating a vision board. So creating a vision board is moving yourself into a creative space by, if you haven't already done it, taking a bunch of magazines, for example, and cutting them up and finding words and finding images that resonate for you, and then putting them into a format, like a pasting them onto a board, or creating a collage with them. So a vision board can work for any number of things. You could create a vision board for a relationship. You could create a vision board for your life. You could create a vision board for the coming year. You could create a vision board for your business. Any number of things you can create a vision board for. Maybe it's even for a trip you want to take, but the idea is that by cutting up or looking through magazines or books or even found objects, uh, collecting those things and seeing them together, it's almost the same kind of principle as getting people together and sharing ideas, because you're getting all these different inputs from different areas. And then what happens is it becomes generative. It's starting to create a synthesis of things and open up new possibilities and opportunities. And it's remarkable when people are doing these vision boards that it's remarkable the words they find, or the sources they find, the resources they find that really truly resonate and plug them into this bigger field of creativity and possibility. And so it's really easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, right? Really easy. And it takes an act of conscious awareness to choose to step out of that and to prioritize creativity and expression. And we often think that the creative part of our being is frivolous. And this goes back to something else we talked about earlier this week, the from head to heart, feeling like the head knows and the heart is just this wishy-washy, feely, touchy response to things, rather than the font of wisdom that it actually is. And when this inspiration piece, this creativity piece, is connecting to that balanced, grounded, wise, unbounded inner voice. And when we experience challenges, problems, confusion, we often try to think our way through. And I'm suggesting that maybe by taking what looks like a creative side trip, something generative to find this inspiration, we can find new pathways. So I was talking about this in relation to a relationship that I have where someone really barked at me in an unexpected way, and I was able, through an inspiration, to take a different vantage point, to be able to see the situation with compassion and understanding that I didn't otherwise have. So I think we can apply this inspiration piece in all different contexts, and it provides an enrichment to us, even though we might find it counterintuitive, because we have all these ideas about our ideas being more important and smarter and more insightful than our inner inspiration. I mean, even if you think back on Einstein, how did he discover the E equals MC squared? He had a dream. I think, where he was riding on a rocket, something like that. And then he went into his imagination and had this visualization about two trains passing one another. And so that's using imagination to generate new possibilities. And so many of us have conditioned ourselves out of our imagination. Being a kid is stop dreaming, stop daydreaming, get here to reality. So I think what this is an encouragement to reawaken and cultivate that daydreaming capacity, because that's where our possibilities arise, and that's how the future speaks to us oftentimes, is through those daydreams and through our imaginations. So not only should we grant ourselves permission to indulge in our imaginings, but we get to nurture and cultivate that inspiration muscle that is really wanting to make itself present in all the moments of our lives, or certainly more of them. So I'm wondering, anybody have any feedback on inspirations or dreams that have guided you into a new path in your life, or moments of revelation during meditation where something you have an aha and a light bulb goes off, or other ways that you cultivate inspiration in your life? I encourage you to look for those places and nurture those opportunities for yourself. So that's today's message. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I love being with you, and I am so grateful to you for sharing this time and engaging with me in these conversations. And I just appreciate you so deeply. So I'm here every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Facebook page, Enlightened World Network Facebook page. And please check out the Enlightened World Network community. Wonderful, wonderful people doing very heart-centered work. And Danette, I'm so glad you were here, and Thank you for chiming in, and Isabel and Tammy and Dido and everybody who chimes in. It means so much, and I'm so grateful to you. And I hope to see you again here really soon. So until then, lots and